Gonna give everyone's audio a second to catch up. But in the meantime, if you wouldn't mind telling us in the chat where you're located today. We have people registered from all sorts of different places, so it would be great to see who's here today. And I am in New York. Let's see, Louisiana, Hawaii. Excellent. Great.
I'm joining from North Carolina.
Awesome. So far, we've got East Coast, West Coast, and Gulf Coast, and India. Welcome. Thank you for coming. That's wonderful. Conquer, so cool. This is awesome. All right, well, I want to get to our presentation for today. But we just wanted to share with you real quick. So today's presentation is sponsored by the USA Blue Schools. So I just wanted to tell you real quick what that is, if that's new to you. So I'm Megan Marrero. I'm at Mercy University in New York, and I am also the national coordinator of the USA Blue Schools. And the USA Blue Schools are schools that are committed to improving ocean literacy in their school. And that usually involves bringing kids on field trips out to see the marine environment and to do work in the marine environment. I see my Trinity school. You might recognize this beach. It's very close to you over at Hudson Park. And these are some Trinity students from a few years ago, actually. And you guys are USA Blue School, I know. And we have students who are very committed to doing action projects to make our world a better place and to make our ocean cleaner, to make it more understood. So we invite all of you to consider becoming a Blue School if you are not already. And your teachers can just fill out a registration form and be invited to all of our events as well. So today I am super excited, I'm going to move through that, to introduce Kai Tran. Kai is a graduate student at Duke University, where he is pursuing a Master of Environmental Management with a concentration in community engagement and environmental justice. Outside of his studies, Kai serves as a Southeast Young Leaders Council member for the National Parks Conservation Association and a Youth Leadership Council member for EarthEcho International, which he'll tell us about later. Throughout his role as a youth leadership council member, he has advocated and campaigned for the recently designated Chumash Heritage National Marine Sanctuary, the first ever indigenously nominated and led national marine sanctuary. Kai's efforts in campaigning for the sanctuary have been recognized by the White House and the America the Beautiful for All Coalition, the largest conservation coalition in the United States. So I am super excited to introduce Kai, and I'm going to let you take it away. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for that amazing introduction, Megan. Really appreciate it. And hello, everyone. It's amazing to be able to speak with you all this morning or whatever time you were joining. Really appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about youth ocean advocacy and ways to potentially get involved for you all if you aren't already. So I'll start with my slides here.
While you're doing that, sorry, I forgot to say, teachers, if you have questions from your students or if anyone has questions, please put those in the chat and Kai's going to address them more towards the end, but feel free to put them in there whenever they come up.
Yeah, and there will also be a few interactive components of this presentation where I'll solicit input or feedback from you all, the audience. So again, welcome. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name is Kai Tran. I'm going to be talking to you all about elevating youth voices in ocean advocacy. So just to give a lay of the land or overview of what this webinar is going to be about, I'm going to speak briefly about myself. I'm going to touch upon what advocacy is, in particular ocean advocacy, going to dive into why it's important to advocate for the ocean, describe my own story and experience with ocean advocacy, and then touch upon ways that you can get involved if you haven't already, or hopefully learn about work that you all are doing. So before again talking about ocean advocacy, my own story and work in this space, I want to give a brief introduction about myself. So I'm nearly 24 years old and grew up on the West Coast of the United States. I was born and raised in the Seattle, Washington area, but actually lived more than 100 miles away from the ocean, but was surrounded by great bodies of water. So although I am considered an ocean advocate, I definitely didn't grow up super close to the ocean or going to it a lot. After living in Washington, I attended college in California at Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, where I studied environmental management and protection. And I now live in Durham, North Carolina, where I attend grad school studying environmental management, again, with a focus on community engagement and environmental justice. Outside of school, I like hiking, exploring different cities, going on road trips, and spending time with friends and family. So before I talk about what environmental or ocean advocacy is and what it can entail, I'd love to hear from the audience what y'all think are some things that ocean advocacy consists of. And if you could type some answers or thoughts in the comments, that would be great, or in the chat. And we'll give it about a minute or so to field this discussion. And for those of y'all in the class, if teachers want to comment what students are saying in the classroom, that's great as well. Something to protect the ocean, yeah. Beach cleanups, reef protection, that's great. Oil cleanups, that's super important. I love that definition by, I think, Nidhi. That's amazing. Health of living organisms, stopping oil from spreading, overfishing. Yeah, these are all great. Thank you all so much. I'm gonna continue on in the definitions that I've gotten, but all of those are definitely relevant and appropriate definitions for ocean advocacy. So very broadly, the definition of advocacy, this is from Oxford Languages, consider the public support for or recommendation of a particular cause or policy. And more specific with ocean advocacy, according to the Marine Conservation Institute, ocean advocacy typically includes utilizing marine and climate change science to identify important issues impacting marine and nearshore ecosystems. So that could be in the ocean or on the coast, on the beach, in a wetland, on the marsh near the ocean, and advocating for their protection or resilience. This could include advocacy for a marine protected area, strong regulations, deploying restoration projects or trash cleanups, as some of you all mentioned, or an oil cleanup. And these all work to help improve the health of local ecosystems. And for those of you who may not be familiar, I mentioned marine protected areas. These are regulated bodies of water that prohibit certain harmful practices or human activities which could include oil drilling, toxic waste dumping, or other certain practices. And they can also encourage marine research and education for local communities. So I've talked very briefly about what ocean advocacy is. That's certainly not the entire definition of it, and there's many different forms and ways to be an ocean advocate. It's certainly an umbrella term and all-encompassing. It's not exclusive to any one thing. But some folks may be thinking, why does it matter that someone would want to be an ocean advocate? Again, I'm going to solicit feedback from the audience here. Does anyone want to share some comments or thoughts as to why it may be important to be an advocate for the ocean to ensure its protection or longevity? And similarly, give about a minute or so if anyone wants to make comments. Where the food comes from. Yeah, to ensure sustainable use of ocean environment and resources, 100%. And I'll touch on that a little bit as well. To protect marine life, definitely. We do depend upon the ocean. for many things, including food and climate. Okay. Comments can continue to trickle in, but I'm gonna move forward and touch upon some of the things that I have as to why ocean advocacy is important. But again, it's not the list. I don't think I could fit on any slide presentation. It would probably have to be longer than an hour to talk about the importance of the ocean and advocacy for it. But very briefly, I'm sure many of you here already know some of this, but I just want to hit home that the ocean uh, is a vital resource for all living things on planet Earth. Our connection to the ocean exceeds simply going to the beach or swimming in the ocean. Whether it be the food you eat, the air you breathe, or the nature you enjoy, the ocean provides for us all. Some big stats I wanted to highlight include research from NOAA, which is the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, a government agency in the United States. They found that 31% of all CO2 emissions annually are absorbed by the ocean. Additionally, the World Economic Forum found that the ocean contributes $2.5 trillion to the annual global economy. So those are some pretty big stats. And the ocean covers 70% of our planet's surface. So it's all around us. And even if you maybe live inland or don't see the ocean every day, it has an impact on our daily life and society and all other living creatures on Earth. So it is incredibly important. So why am I, of all people, here speaking to you about ocean advocacy? Megan mentioned some of the work I've done in the introduction, and I've had the immense privilege to be called an ocean advocate and had some experience in progressing campaigns that have established protections for the ocean. I will say, though, ironically, I actually had very little advocacy experience in high school and growing up. I was not exposed to a lot of opportunities to work in my community and advocate for the ocean or environment. However, once I did get to college, I immediately strived to get involved with as many clubs and student groups as possible. I would say what was beyond my actual capability. It was a little too much. But during this time, some of the groups I was a part of included the Sunrise Movement, which is a climate youth movement that progresses climate policy, mostly in the United States, and various on-campus sustainability groups, including waste reduction clubs and things of that nature. During my time in college, I began to get involved with a local group called the Northern Chumash Tribal Council, which is an indigenous group on the central coast of California. And they are the nominators and leaders of the first ever indigenous-led national marine sanctuary, the Chumash Heritage National Marine Sanctuary. And for those of you who may not know, in the US, national marine sanctuaries are a national network of marine protected areas. I had mentioned them before. They encompass more than 1.5 million square kilometers, and they exist to protect important natural and cultural marine places. I would volunteer with the Northern Chumash Tribal Council out in California, tabling at community events and advocating for the designation of this Chumash Heritage National Marine Sanctuary. And there's a photo of me in the top right. That's me at a volunteer training with them. As you can see, most of the folks there are not quite considered young. So it was fun to be able to be there and represent more younger folks. I also, not long after, I joined EarthEcho International, which I'm still a part of, and is a youth-based international nonprofit focused on advancing youth advocacy and involvement in ocean protection. I joined them as an Ocean Echo 30 by 30 fellow, where I led a self-directed youth outreach campaign in support of the Chumash Heritage National Marine Sanctuary, which involved delivering hour-long presentations about the sanctuary to local college students and faculty at various clubs and student groups at my local college. So my work to campaign for the Chumash Heritage National Marine Sanctuary continued until quite recently. It was actually designated and established this last fall and winter. So it was a huge win, a 30-year-long process that I got to be lucky to be a part of the back end for. But since my Ocean Echo 30 by 30 fellowship, I've become and still am a youth leadership council member with EarthEcho. The top left is me with my cohort of fellow YLC members, as we refer to ourselves. And I've participated in various ocean advocacy actions and campaigns, including hosting local youth leadership summits in North Carolina. One of the summits I've hosted two in this past couple of years. The bottom right photo you can see is us from that 2023. That was a lot of fun. Additionally, my work to support the Chumash Heritage National Marine Sanctuary has continued with some achievements, including an op-ed that I've written, a youth sign-on letter that gained over 100 individual and 20 organizational signatures. I've lobbied in Washington, D.C. with members of Congress, NOAA, and the White House. And that's a photo of me in the top right speaking with some members of the White House in support of the sanctuary last year. And I've also given various presentations about my work in youth advocacy and at various conferences and webinars like this. As you can see in the bottom right, it's a photo of me, or the bottom left, sorry, it's a photo of me speaking at a conference in Puerto Rico, actually, which I was super lucky to attend. So enough talking about me and the work that I've done. For those of you who may not already be involved with the community in environmental or ocean advocacy, you may be asking how you could also work to progress ocean and environmental protection and what opportunities are available to you. However, I'd love to quickly hear from the audience again. Sorry if this is too interactive for some of y'all. If there's folks who maybe have potential ideas as to how you can get involved, or if you already are, I would love to hear. And for some of y'all, feel free to turn on your mic and tell just very briefly, 20 seconds, some of the work that you're doing. Love to hear for a little bit, and we'll open that up for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
And if you have, oh, sorry. If you haven't been involved yet, it's no worries. I went through all of high school not being super involved with ocean advocacy, so you're not late at all. By being here, you're already ahead of where I was.
Yeah, if any schools have done some work already and you want to share, teachers, if you want to just raise your hand and we can unmute and just share a couple things that you've been working on, you've been learning about this year, maybe. I see already in the chat some recycling, some cleanup participation. Awesome. Anyone else want to share? Infographics, love it.
Good morning, Meg. Dara wanted to share the work that we did last year.
So last year we basically studied oysters and how they help the ocean be clean.
Love that. Thanks for sharing. It looks like the Charter School of Educational Excellence wants to share. Miss White, you have somebody up there?
Yeah, good afternoon from my side.
Hello,
I'm
welcome.
Simon Morris. I'm Simon Morris from Liberia. I'm working on a couple of projects concerning the ocean. I do a weekly cleanup campaign on the ocean, and I do awareness both online and offline.
Very cool. Thank you for sharing, Simon, and thanks for coming, Liberia. I'm impressed. And I see another of our schools in Yonkers working on Hudson River, and very important, those eels, right? So they go out into the ocean, so they definitely connected, and always fun to look at those glass eels. I'm sorry, my friends at the charter school, I know you guys were ready to go. You ready to share?
Earlier in the year, we went seining in the Hudson River, and we collected a lot of microplastics. So collectively as a class, we decided to kind of work on collecting like soft reusable plastics, mainly made of polyethylene.
Very cool. Thank you. Kai, you've got some good answers here. This is good.
Yeah, I'm impressed. Future leaders here, everyone. Really great work. Highlight some of the comments as well. Someone mentioned going to a salt marsh. That's amazing. Leading workshops or webinars like this, certainly. Engaging other young people is always amazing, is always great. Working on learning on machines that remove plastics, that's incredible. Yeah, engineering. The environment and ocean advocacy is very multidisciplinary. You don't have to necessarily have a super strong interest in the environment. If you're interested in engineering, science, or even writing, there are different ways to get involved and advocate for the ocean. Workshops around marine data, that's always great. Data is an incredible source of information for advocacy, as I had mentioned, utilizing science and data. Yeah, Hudson River groups is great, as I think Megan had mentioned that briefly.
We went to a salt marsh and cleaned up.
Didn't quite catch that, but in Rotary, we sponsor youth groups that do projects to clean beaches and recycle materials that would otherwise get into the ocean. That's great. Winter Water Academy. Okay, learning about sewage waste. That's really important as well. Yeah, wow. Everyone here is already so impressed. This is great. Well, I think we can move on unless anyone has any lasting things they want to share that they're working on or involved in. If not, okay, I'll go ahead and move forward to list out some opportunities that I have to share with you all. But certainly, what I have to share is not everything, and there are many different ways to get involved or find opportunities. So I would just say very briefly, the work that I've been able to do was not accomplished on my own. It was done with the support of organizations like EarthEcho that helped elevate my voice and connect me with organizations that were able to broaden my impact and advocacy work. So getting involved with existing groups or organizations that are doing the work already is a great way to elevate your voice and involvement in ocean advocacy and gain your tools and experience. We do this together, not alone. So really, it's a global ocean community, and ensuring that you're able to have a space is super important. The first things I want to talk about is joining Gen C, which is a global platform. It's an amazing way to connect with folks from all over the world. It's a global youth social media or internet platform, and it connects young ocean advocates and shares opportunities to get involved with ocean advocacy. And yes, anyone can join from all over, certainly from India, any country. And I think Megan is going to put some links in the chat for Gen C and the following organizations I'm going to mention. Additionally, there are many existing nonprofits that are aimed to serve young people or facilitate youth-based programs. Some organizations I would recommend checking out include my own, EarthEcho International. Definitely look at them, and I'll list out some opportunities actually associated with EarthEcho. Some other organizations I am aware of are the World Ocean Project and Sustainable Ocean Alliance, but there are many more out there. Even just simply looking youth ocean advocacy organizations or nonprofits, I'm sure you can find something online. I also want to, as I mentioned before, give a quick shout out to a few opportunities that are currently available or soon due soon or soon to be opened from EarthEcho. Due March 30th, the Marine Plastics Ambassador program is aimed to address plastic pollution. I believe it's focused on states in the Great Lakes region, including New York and the southeast of the United States. Also, the Our Ocean Challenge is a STEM competition where teams of youth aged 13 to 16 can compete to win up to $3,000. And additionally, the program that I'm currently in, the Youth Leadership Council, their applications open on April 1st, and that's open to anyone, I believe, 15 to 22. And it's an amazing way to get involved and elevate your opportunity to speak in ocean issues. But Gen C is definitely my best recommendation for getting involved. There's plenty of opportunities and ways to connect with people and meet other folks that are doing amazing work throughout the world. And some of the organizations I've named are internationally or nationally based, but it's incredibly important to look locally too. Whether it be your local aquarium, school club, or an existing nonprofit that works locally, you never know what work is already going on in your community. Talking with your teachers to search for opportunities or simply Googling your city's name with the words ocean or environmental conservation may get you some results. So definitely look locally and see what is already out there. And you can also connect with your teachers to see if they're aware of any local groups or opportunities that are happening in your community. However, if you may end up in a situation where there's not a lot of opportunities in your community or organizations that are actively working, it doesn't hurt to see if you can create your own opportunities. In high school, there wasn't a lot of opportunities, and a regret I have was not doing something to create my own club or group. You could look into starting a student club or organization, finding a teacher advisor, and getting along with your friends and just making something happen. Doing beach cleanups or community cleanups, water testing, anything of that nature is a great way to build experience and contribute to the global community of ocean advocates. But just want to end that and say thank you so much for being here and listening to me ramble about ocean advocacy and its importance. And it was great to learn about the amazing work that you all are doing. really appreciate the opportunity to be here and speak with you all about the importance of the ocean and being a youth advocate for it, because we are the future and we will inherit the ocean that our past generations will give to us. So it's really important that we have a voice and a position to advocate for our environment and for our ocean. So thank you so much.
Thank you so much. That was great. I see some clapping in the audience as well. It was great to hear about the work that you've done and to hear how other students can get involved. So we can now take some questions from our audience. So if folks want to unmute and ask questions, if you can just raise your hand and we'll call on you from different schools, or you can put some things in the chat. So I see Ms. Hammond already put something in the chat. So Kai, maybe you want to answer that one first while we're waiting for some other questions?
Yeah, so small scale things could include doing a park or beach cleanup. It can include just getting a bucket, some gloves, or if you have one of those pickers, that's a great way to start. And you can do that by yourself or with a group of people. Amazing way to start. If you have a student club, you could do presentations, inviting people who might not know too much about the ocean or who might not be interested, and give them educational presentation, do your own research as to the importance of the ocean and ways to get involved. Similar to this. Someone also asked if the opportunities I'd mentioned were paid or volunteered. They're a mix of paid and volunteered. I'm not certain if the Marine Plastics Ambassadors paid. I think it might be. The EarthEcho Challenge is paid and the Youth Leadership Council is volunteer based. But you can find these opportunities on earthecho.org, and they will talk more about the work, the positions and the work involved with that and the different benefits from it. Someone asked, is there any way we can donate to help? Yes, nonprofits certainly appreciate donations, whether it be the organization I'm working with, EarthEcho, or some of the other ones I had mentioned here. Donating to these organizations helps support them, support youth. So I wouldn't have been able to do a lot of things that I've done with EarthEcho if it weren't for the support of financial donations and support to their programs and initiatives.
Great questions. I see Miss Villick's class might have a question.
Go ahead, John. You're on. So I got a question.
You probably just have to mute your speaker on your, I think you have two computers going, so mute your speaker on your other computer and then you should be able to ask a question. Okay, that's fine, or you could type it. Sorry, it was nice to hear your voice briefly. Any other questions? While we're waiting for those guys. Oh, here we go.
Yeah, Sean, that's a great question. Certainly inland communities may not feel particularly connected to the ocean, but it's important to recognize that all bodies of water, whether you live near a little creek, a lake, or a river, do connect to the ocean and have an impact. So doing work around your local bodies of water, creeks, rivers, which could include cleanups, or doing water testing. EarthEcho actually has a water monitoring kit that is available to get in a water challenge. If you look up water challenge or monitorwater.org, I'll type that in the chat. It's a, sorry, let me type that. I believe that's the website. The Water Challenge with EarthEcho is a international program where people test the water quality of their local water bodies, whether it be a creek, river, or lake, and they upload it onto a global map. And there's thousands upon thousands of points that show the different water quality. And it's really a citizen science initiative. So definitely getting involved with your local environment. The ocean is connected to everything, whether it's on the beach and you can see it, or you're hundreds or thousands of miles even inland. So while it may not seem super close by or have a strong connection, you certainly do have a connection to the ocean, whether you feel it or not. how can entire families get involved and contribute? Yeah, so that's a great question. I think education is super important. So if you're with your whole family, uh, meeting with your extended family or members of your community and educating them about the problem of plastic pollution, um, beyond beach cleanups, there's other education. I think is the biggest part. Ensuring that people know how to throw away their trash responsibly and not litter. Um, Doing recycling campaigns, things of that nature. Education is a super important component, whether it be understanding the threats of plastic pollution or ways to prevent plastic pollution through trash, or even just trying to buy products that aren't maybe made of plastic as much. How can I create partnerships? That's a great question and easier said than done. I think a platform like Gen C, as I had mentioned, is a great way to get involved and connect with people. And maybe there's people in your local community. I know, Simon, you had mentioned you're from Liberia. There might be folks from there that are doing work as well. Simply looking online to see if there are organizations is a great way in reaching out. Don't be afraid to speak up or reach out. There are definitely ways. People are certainly open to being contacted and building partnerships. The bigger the community, the better. So don't be afraid to reach out if you are able to find folks, whether it be online or in person, if you run into them or see an event happening. It's always great to connect with folks who are interested in similar work. What made me want to choose this career path? Oh, that's a good question. So I would say I wasn't originally involved with ocean advocacy, but I had the great privilege and opportunity to travel around the United States when I was in high school, visiting national parks and experiencing these natural spaces and spending time outside. And that was a great way to uh, just enjoy the natural environment and all that it provides for us, and realize that these spaces need protection, and there's a lot of things that humans do that are damaging or harmful to the environment, and certainly considering climate change as well. So that was kind of what pushed me into the environmental space. And when I moved to California, I got a lot more involved with the ocean community, and I was 15 minutes away from the ocean, which was amazing in California. Uh, and being involved with the community and learning about the work that folks were doing and the love that they had for the ocean, the connection, particularly of the indigenous communities who have relied upon and lived with the ocean for thousands of years, was something that really struck me quite profoundly and pushed me to want to get involved in advocating for the ocean and understanding its importance and educating folks like you all about the incredible place that the ocean has on planet Earth. Yes, plastic pollution. There is a significant amount of plastic pollution in the ocean, and they do have various impacts on marine species, whether it be causing them harm or even death, or causing them disease. Uh, it's really important to prevent plastic pollution because it permeates throughout the ocean. There's so much plastic in the ocean. If y'all haven't heard of the giant Pacific garbage patch, it's almost the size of the state of Texas, and it's just out there full of ocean. And microplastics are finding their ways to the deepest parts of the ocean. The ocean is not meant to have plastic in its ecosystems, so ensuring its protection is super important, and is a crucial resource, and its health feeds back into our own health. So ensuring that we can cut back on our plastic pollution is really important. It is unfortunate there is so much plastic in the ocean, but many people are doing work to help prevent that and curb the amount of plastic that we're seeing in our global oceans. Yeah, cutting up rings from soda cans, those plastic rings, that's great. Yeah, don't release balloons into the air. You think they just go nowhere, but they end up somewhere. I don't personally work in coral reef restoration. I have not lived anywhere super close to coral reefs. It is really important, though. Coral reefs are a vital ecosystem for many marine species and local communities. Um, Most of my work has been involved with marine protected areas, as I'd mentioned, the Shumash Heritage National Marine Sanctuary. Will we ever be able to clean up the entire ocean? I'm hopeful and optimistic. I think naturally I'm a hopeful and optimistic person, uh, considering that so much of the Earth, 70%, is consisting of the ocean. I think that's a very big task, and certainly folks who maybe are interested in engineering, that's something you could pursue to try and take on. I don't know that I have the expertise to say whether, but I'm not sure that 100% is certain, but we could definitely try.
These are great questions. Thank you, everyone. And you're definitely keeping Kai on his toes with all these rapid fire questions over here. I love it. Oh, policies or regulations. What do you think about that one? As you are about to get your master's in public policy.
Yeah. The biggest one that I really would advocate for, and EarthEcho has done a lot of advocacy for, is the High Seas Treaty. The High Seas Treaty ensures a global regulation. It's a UN treaty, United Nations treaty for the high seas, which is, I believe, 2/3 of our ocean, which is beyond areas of jurisdiction. So, for context, a country, if it borders the ocean, they have control or jurisdiction of about, I believe, 200 or so miles offshore. I could be wrong. I could be corrected on that. And then everything beyond that in the ocean is considered international water or the high seas. And there's really not a lot of regulation or policy to address the high seas and ensure its protection, whether it be from overfishing or other extractive practices. And Megan, I don't know if you could maybe look online and put a link, but the High Seas Alliance is a really great organization, and EarthEcho works with them. We have an ambassador program actually for youth to work in their global community, in their local community, and it's an international role to advocate for the High Seas Treaty and ensure its ratification for the country. So that is something that I really think is important coming down the pipe, is ratification of the High Seas Treaty. And you can find a lot more information on the highseasalliance.org website that Megan just posted. Thank you.
I also just want to share real quickly that one of our schools a few years ago, you can work locally. So one of our schools was really instrumental in getting a local plastic bag ban passed in their local town. So that's something that you can try to work on, or like, plastic straws, plastic bags, even in your school, trying to get your school to reduce their plastic by, say, putting in more water fountains so that you can fill your water bottle instead of using, one single-use plastic. So you can start really close to home and then move out to things like high seas, which obviously is super important. But I think for students, it's often a little bit easier to start close to home at your school.
Definitely. Thank you for that addition, Megan. Maybe hitting a hard-hitting questions here. What are the benefits of involving the indigenous communities, local fishermen, or tourism industries in conservation initiatives? Involving community is incredibly important. If you don't have local buy-in, local knowledge, and understanding of any sort of conservation program, protection, or regulation that you're trying to do, oftentimes it will fail. Local people and particularly indigenous communities have long held knowledge of the ocean, its environment, in ways of stewardship that maybe folks from the government who are coming in, who live far away from the ocean, might not have that knowledge, even if they're utilizing science. In addition, local fishermen, people who are in the local community, they have to live with that conservation initiative every day. And some of their livelihoods depend upon the ocean. So ensuring that they are involved in the development and management of any conservation initiative is essential, because otherwise you could leave people behind or really harm their livelihood and impact them in a way that would maybe push them to be against the conservation initiative or any sort of program that you're trying to implement. The tourism industries as well are really important to have that buy-in. Actually, people might think that implementing protection of regulations or conservation initiatives, marine protected areas, for example, would actually injure the economy, but in many cases, it helps bring in tourism, education, research dollars from places like universities. So a lot of marine protected areas actually bring in more money to the local community and to the local ocean ecosystems. So ensuring that folks who live there are able to benefit from and be involved in those processes is super important. And the benefits are numerous. And I think that's also, as I had said, a lot of these things could be synthesized in an hour-long presentation on their own. So trying my best to give short form answers, but hopefully it's helpful.
Any other questions from our students on the line? Make sure you've gotten all of your questions answered. Oh, you guys are feeling good. Yeah. All right, so maybe we'll let Kai answer this one more question about fishing, and then we're gonna close up, I think.
Yeah. So, yeah, how does reducing overfishing and promoting sustainable fishing methods contribute to protecting marine environments? That's a great question. There's this concept, it's something I learned in college, so y'all don't necessarily need to know about it. It's called the tragedy of the commons. It's essentially you have a limited resource, which in the case of the ocean is you have a limited amount of fish that are in the ocean, and they repopulate, but they can only do so at certain levels of population. If you overfish, you are taking fish out of the ocean and preventing them from being able to successfully repopulate and balance their population levels to a healthy or sustainable level. And you could risk losing all of the fish. And that's often what can cause extinction of species, both marine, but also on land animals. So ensuring that people who fish have maybe a cap or an understanding of how they can fish sustainably, ensuring that they're not overfishing or fishing too many species is really important, because otherwise you risk losing all of the fish in the ecosystem, and that can harm you long term. So if you're a fisher person and you want to have a long-lasting career, it's important that you're able to fish a certain amount to to support your livelihood, but also ensure that there are still fish in the ocean so that they can repopulate and exist healthily in the ecosystem, so that you both benefit and are able to continue living fishing.
Thank you. And thank you so much. Let's give Kai another round of applause. Thank you for sharing your story and your ideas and for answering all of these questions. And thank you all for being here today. I hope you learned a lot. I hope you enjoyed. We have another webinar coming up in April. Actually, Kai, do you mind stopping sharing, and I'll share the flyer for that one real quick with the link in the chat. We are going to have, this time our webinar will be about the blue economy and jobs and careers in marine science, but more on the side of working with boats, working on boats. Captain Breezy is a great speaker and has a very diverse career. She was in the Coast Guard, and now she's still a captain, and she's working on all sorts of projects and industries related to the ocean. So I hope that some of you can join us then. It'll be a little bit later, 11 a.m. Eastern. That's probably better for our Pacific folks and Hawaii folks. Thanks for being up so early, but hope to see you there. Thank you all. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, and hope to see you all soon. Bye, everyone.
Bye. Thank you.